I know.
Yo.
Yes,
What's up, brother?
Yo, how we
Loud
doing?
and clear.
How's it
I'm
going?
pretty good. I'm pretty good. Pleasure to be here, honestly.
Oh, same, bro.
How groggy
Likewise.
are you?
Not bad, not bad. Woke up, have like 2 different types of coffees with me, so we're good. We're good.
Love to
All
see it, bro.
right.
You got that Bali coffee over there, or?
Yeah, it's not the best. Had better, but caffeine will do.
Bro, you're gonna have to try this stuff called NeuroGum. I chew it all day long. It's pretty
I've heard
fire.
of those. Do you buy them like online?
Yeah, I buy them on TikTok Shop and Amazon.
Okay, and they're
Can't
actually
get
good?
enough. Yeah, it's good. I mean, I'd still drink coffee, but throughout the day, I just chew this gum, and it's actually a bit better.
Hmm. And like,
Kumis wants to buy NeuroGum.
what is it
What's
like?
up, sorry?
Like inside, like what's
Yeah, it's got like
inside?
caffeine and it's got L-theanine, so it
Hmm.
gives you like the caffeine energy, but it also gives you like just the focus, so you don't get the jitters.
I see. Hmm. That's it. Looks like a
The
good
Zin got me
product.
jittery recently.
Yeah. Yeah, how's everything with you
Need one of
guys?
them little
Doing
chilling,
good, man.
bro.
Doing good.
Not bad.
That's good.
Started reading a new book here. I'm gonna tell you about this book after the call.
Okay, nice. I
I'm
wanted
gatekeeping
to
it
just
for
say
now.
like I really like the Discord, how you guys like set it up and everything. Like it's been building really nicely.
Oh, thank you, bro. I mean, a lot of credit to you. I think a lot of the people in here are from your Discord, so we appreciate the gas.
It's again, like we're all growing and no, but even like the way you guys have it all set up, very like professional. Like I've joined a few calls in the past and yeah, it has a very promising future, honestly.
Well, thank you,
Thank you,
bro.
brother.
Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's 4:01. I know we have a lot of questions, a lot of content to get through, so I say we go ahead and get started. We've got about 20 people here, so uh, I'm ready if you guys are.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So first, let the sauce begin. Of course, got a lot of sauce to get into. Yeah. So today, I just want to introduce our guest speaker really quick. Today, we have a special guest joining us, someone who embodies authenticity, resilience, and long term vision in the e commerce space. Julian Tiscione, I believe I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, perfect. He's known for his raw and unfiltered approach to documenting his journey. Unlike many in the space who chase short term wins and instant gratification, Julian is focused on mastering direct response marketing, building a sustainable long term brand, and honing the fundamentals of e commerce that most overlook. He's been through the highs and lows, navigating ad account bans, business setbacks, and industry pressure, all while staying true to his core values. He's not here to sell a dream. He's here to share real, hard earned insights about what it takes to build something that actually changes your life and the lives of others. Julian has built a genuine community of like minded individuals, prioritizing long term success over quick wins. And today, we're going to tap into his mindset, strategies, and philosophy to learn how he's approaching the game differently. Julian, it's a pleasure, brother. Thank you for being here. Are you ready to get into it?
Yeah, thank you for having me. What an intro. It's the best intro I've ever gotten.
Of course, brother. A special guest, special intro for a special guest, of
Yeah,
course.
making me blush.
So, sauciest Italian in the space.
That's great.
So first, I'll start off the questions here. I'll pass it over to Sam and Bib after a few questions, but I just want to dive right into it. First, I want to dive into mindset and personal growth. So just to start it off, recently we were speaking, and even in some of your YouTube videos recently, you mentioned that pressure, when handled properly, builds a man. How do you personally manage pressure in a way that strengthens you rather than breaking you?
Yeah, I feel like you can get pressure from both like yourself and other people. And honestly, like pressure is not easy to deal with. Like if you just think about like say on a final exam or when you are playing a sport and you have to perform, like pressure really like gets the nerves going, gets the heart pumping, and it's just not easy to handle. But I think there's not really a specific way to deal with pressure. It's just the simple fact of there's going to be pressure no matter what, whether it's from like other people online, whether it's even from your family. Like let's say you just want to start ecom and they're pressuring you to to stay in school or to not quit or whatever it may be. It's just the matter of fact of just waking up and doing it anyways and just keep going. So like it's going to be hard and you're going to obviously even fail along the way and pressure is going to just come at you left, right, and center. But um, it's I would say more of a discipline factor of just knowing that hopefully everything's going to be okay. And then you just got to keep going at it. And no matter what pressure you get from, um, it's not always about the results. It's about just getting that pressure. And even if that pressure knocks you down at some point, it's just, again, getting up and just keep going at it.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, tell me what you think as well. I think it's good to just get used to some pressure early on because, like you said, pressure is just, it's going to be there no matter what stage of the game you're in. It's going to come in different forms, whether it's your parents pressuring you to do different things or whether it's one day down the road you're making millions of dollars and you have pressure from investors and other people like that. So, yeah, I think that's a really good point. Just get used to it and just be disciplined and understand that it's there, but keep doing what you know is right.
Yeah. A quote for pressure I like was I think it's rocks are just no sorry diamonds are just rocks that handle the pressure, and it's
Exactly right.
really that besides even pressure being always there, it's the fact that you can get through the pressure that's what builds the character. Because at the end of the day, like no matter if it's ecom or even if it's fucking day trading or whatever it may be, any type of business model, it the majority of the game is to just build the character of who you are, especially if you're in it for the long run. You're not here for like a quick money grab and you know screw off. It's mostly here for building a character. And a lot of decisions I make, I try to, filter them through not thinking about how much money I'm going to make, but who will I become after making that decision.
Yeah, it's a great mindset to revolve yourself with. I want to jump into your Bali trip really quickly. You spoke about how the Bali trip was life changing or has been life changing, but maybe not exactly in the ways that you originally expected. Is it possible that you could share a little bit more about maybe some unexpected lessons or unexpected mindset shifts that you've had while you've been in Bali?
Yeah, I can go on for. So, um, Bali was like a trip for me. I don't know. I guess I don't know where I got the impulse to do it, but maybe through people online or whatever it may be. But like a bit over a year ago, almost two, actually past two. Um, I always had like a dream or a goal to like go to Bali and stay there for like a long time or a few months with like my friends that are like on not necessarily the same exact path. Again, most of my friends are day traders anyways, so they don't even do ecom. But just surrounding myself with them every day constantly was like the goal I had in mind. Especially after making decisions maybe my family didn't like at home. I wanted to like get away from that for a while and just surround myself with like likely minded men. And once the time was coming near where I was actually like planning it and booking it, I did set some goals, right? And I set some goals more of like a monetary form, which is like I want to build some profitable store. I want to get X amount of sales. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to, be so productive, right? And, coming here across the world, 30-hour flight, um, yeah, as time went on, it just went a bit differently. I've been dealing with like ad account issues for, a month now. I think I'm almost on the fence of solving it, but for the longest time, I'm unable to run any single ads. Like, so I'm now in Bali, just not able to run a single ad. Maybe I'm, dealing with or trying different solutions to try to get those ads up, but it's not how I expected, right? I expected to, get some sales. I expect to hear the ka-chings and whatever it may be. And I felt horrible because at the end of the day, I visioned myself doing something, and then now I felt at stuck. I felt really like unable to do anything, and I was like, how am I supposed to be productive? We're not really traveling Bali, so it's not like I can just drop it and be like, okay, let me just take a break for a month, which would be the complete opposite goal anyway. So I found myself in like a position where I was just felt stuck, and at the end of the day, I really like kind of just had like some moments where I was realizing that again, I think God has different plans, and it was life changing in different ways. Even though the trip's not done, I still have definitely, viewed it a bit differently, where now a lot of the trip that I took away from was, besides again surrounding myself with likely minded men, that never changed. To take a break from people at home that aren't don't agree with what I do, but also like just some viewpoints on really the world in general. Like again, I'm across the world in Asia. I've never been to. People are here differently, and one like thing that I've noticed is that how really really lucky each and every one of us in this Discord is. Like there's people that have not been given the opportunity that we do have today. Like there's people that have to do certain things to make money, have to my place is surrounded in a rice field, so I see people day in and day out every morning and night going through the rice field. I don't know what they're doing, maybe like watering it or picking up some stuff, but like in the hot sun every day, and it's like they don't have the same opportunity that we do, especially in a third world country. So one mindset shift was just really truly understanding that even though I'm dealing with a ad account issue, at first I thought it was such a huge deal, but then looking in the bigger perspective, like I'm very grateful to have these problems.
Yeah, no, I love that answer, and I love that you're just, expressing gratitude for your current position, even though obviously, like you said, you're dealing with some of those ad account issues and things like that. But it's always just great to stay grounded and stay, gracious for the opportunities that we do have, because you know that eventually you'll get those ad account issues figured out and be, scaling and building a massive business. So
Yeah.
that was something that I also wanted to touch on was how do you separate your own vision from those outside opinions? Like you said, you wanted to take some time away from your parents and be around likely minded men. What separates your vision from those outside opinions, and what keeps you grounded in your path? Whereas, some of those opinions, they try and influence you, I guess.
Yeah. So the way I see it is like again, I try to for like uh, the longest time, whatever I remember, I always try to like look at the fundamentals of like the base root of why things happen. And especially let's say taking an example of my parents, like obviously my parents at first and still today like don't agree with what I do. They don't see it. They don't accept it or whatever it may be. And at first I used to get mad at them. I used to be like, why not? Why didn't you? Why do you have a certain viewpoint? It's wrong. It's this, it's that, and it would get and lead into a bunch of arguments. But at the end of the day, what I realized was that a lot of people have opinions because of, the information they've received, or maybe the way they've been brought up. And I always try to view it as if I was them, lived their exact life, was exposed to their exact situation and experiences, maybe I'd have the same opinion too. And that's where like I started to realize that I don't blame them. Again, my parents grew up in a time where online wasn't a thing. They grew up at a time where you could go to school and get a decent job and live a decent life, right? So I started to not blame them anymore or, get mad at them. I just now understood other people's opinions, but that doesn't mean I agree with it, right? But once I try to understand why they come up with the opinions and viewpoints that they do. Less arguments came up because I start to understand them more, and they even understood me a bit more. Like they're more open to what I do now because, again, I just try to not tell them like directly, this is it, this is it. I try to make them like lead themselves into seeing my viewpoint. So instead of saying like I'm dropping out of school because school's bad. I would have a simple conversation. I would give them the information I was given for them to lead up to their own conclusions. So what I would do was ask my dad, what do you think about the middle class? Do you think the middle class is reducing? Like, do you think it's shrinking? And he goes, yes. And I'm like, okay, if the middle class is reducing, that means there's going to be super rich and super poor eventually. He goes, yes. So I'm like, so if I have to be super rich, because I don't want to be super poor, obviously, what do I have to do? I can't do what the middle class does. Just a small example, just to show you how, like, I've now taken other people's opinions and I stuck strong on my viewpoint because of the information I was given. And I just now give other people my information that I was given to see if they come up with the same conclusion.
Mhm. And on that note about your parents maybe not having the same mindset as you or not agreeing with you, do you think it's important to still maintain that relationship with your parents, try and have a healthy relationship, even if they don't necessarily understand exactly where you're coming from? Because I know for a fact, me personally, I've spent too much time arguing with my parents, having disagreements with them, and even leading up to a point where I just didn't speak to them for like a month straight. And if I could go back in time, I definitely would try and go about that a bit differently.
Yeah, so I feel like that's a touchy subject. I think like everyone is very different with this. And look, I'm still a strong believer in you can bring a horse to a lake, but you can't force it to drink, right? And like, yes, there are people that are just completely stubborn. You can never like you can't change people. Like that's just a fact. And at the end of the day, it just depends on if you think it's worth it. Like I know some people that could drop their family, right? Like they could move out and like not talk to them for a year or two because of issues, whatever. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, right? I think it's just very different. I just for me personally, um, I grew up in like a household where like family was super important, and I still agree with that. And that's why a belief, a value belief from my root basically is family is one of the most important things, and even for my future family, right? Like it's just I really care about it. So yeah, I obviously just wouldn't give up on them really easily. I definitely just do my absolute best to fix that relationship. And I think putting in that effort recently has worked out in my favor. And I can't maybe I can't tell you if it didn't what I would do, but right now like I do have to admit like I tried. I didn't run away. I tried to stay and try to fix it. I tried to do everything possible. I used to read like persuasion books, psychology books, try to just figure out the solution. And I think it's unfolding pretty nicely soon.
I'd love to hear it. The last question that I want to ask before I pass it over to Sam is just about how you emphasize a lot of authenticity and a lot of long-term thinking rather than just quick success. And I just want to know, how do you stay patient and how do you stay focused when the short term doesn't reflect your long-term vision?
Yeah, so I've honestly, I do have to admit, like, I've been always someone, even at a younger age, always looked more of the long term. I wasn't really tended to do such short term things. Um, but I always viewed it as what I do right now is for, like, I guess my life. Like, I, try to build and do something that I always like ask the question, can I support a family with this? Like, I understand there's ways to make quick money, right? But like just for an example, gambling. I would never take gambling as a career because it's just not stable. I can't support a family on it, right? So I always just try to view it as to, can I support a family? Can I live on it for till I'm 30, 40, 50 years old, right? And I understand that there's a lot of garbage on the internet, like trying to persuade you to do these other things. And again, that's another lesson that this trip taught me was to just really appreciate and really, look at the other side, right? Because you can see all these Lambos and all these supercars or Miami penthouses on Twitter or whatever. But like again, then I'm here across the world seeing people, make $400 a month, or or I try to look at it as like I'm in Bali with my friends during a snowstorm back home where all my other friends or my family are dealing with or have to go to work. Like, I'm just genuinely grateful. It's been something I've been working for a year. So it's like I try not to look at other people that, you know, to influence me on these short term things, and just really understanding that I am in this for a long run. Like it's like I signed a contract when I first started. Like I'm not giving up on this. And I think it was just a rule that I followed was whatever you started, just finish it. Like that was imprinted in my head since probably I was a little kid. Like even when it comes to like reading books, the book could be shit from the first chapter. I'll still finish it just because I have to. like I just have to finish what I start. And that's another reason why I still do YouTube, right? Because there was a time where I want to transition from doing YouTube to ecom, and I said maybe I should just do ecom and like stop YouTube for now. But I said no, I started it. I'll just do it on the side. Like I have to keep doing it. I have to. And that's just a mindset and like a contract that I signed with myself. Like once you start something, whether it's ecom or day trading or MMA, whatever it may be, just stick at it. And that's what I've just always had. It's all the viewpoint I had. And I think no matter where you're in, you're going to figure it out if you have that viewpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love it. I was going to say, it seems like you're very solidified in your goals. You have these overarching goals that kind of, guide you in every step of the way. They kind of keep you on your path. So, no, I love to hear that, bro. Thank you for sharing that. That's all I've got on mindset and personal growth. I'll go ahead and pass it over to Sam so he can get into some things about ecom, navigating some of the challenges that you may be having recently.
Yeah, man. Well, first off, thanks again for dropping all this sauce today. I mean, I love what I've been hearing so far. So I hope your Bali trip's been going well. Just to dive in a little bit on the obstacles, I know you've been pretty transparent about ad account bans. I'm just curious psychologically, how do you approach situations like that where certain aspects are just completely out of your hands?
Yeah, again, so like you said, it's out of your hands, right? So at the end of the day, there you can just wake up and do your best. That's honestly, I try to tell myself every day, just wake up and do your best. Just wake up and try. You know, there's there's nights where I go to bed being like, oh my God, I'm gonna have my ad accounts tomorrow, and then it doesn't happen. And you try again, try again, try again. With the ad account issues, it's you know, really mostly out of your control. But again, just waking up and just trying, right? And even though I'm not directly making sales, I'm still waking up and working on a business because at the end of the day, this business is gonna have problems, and whether it's ad account issues or whether it's unprofitable creatives, at the end of the day, you got to wake up and solve problems. So I just view it as I'm waking up, solving a problem, and once this problem's solved, whether it's still in Bali or whether it's at home, hopefully that it's a problem that I'll solve and will avoid in the future.
Definitely, man. I think so much about what you're saying is just coming down to consistency. So I think that really comes out there. I've heard you say before that you don't want to do pump and dumps for screenshots. I'm curious, how do you position your stores or your brands to kind of stay away from those with a more short-term view, or let's just say like those that are new in Shopify that just want to make a bag?
Yeah. So I think again a lot of it comes from like the base or the fundamental of just the product launch. And it's not necessarily changing much of a certain strategy. Like yes, I do believe that if you want to make something worth consistent, you would have to just require a bit more research and a bit more, thorough thinking. But at the end of the day, I think it's just like the the decision you make by, let's say, choosing a possibility of it growing, right? So for me, I always like to choose products that have the possibility, the room, I intentionally try to now sell products that I could see myself building on, right? For like my last product, I I knew within the first maybe few weeks that this wasn't gonna go long, and I just kept running it no matter what because I was obviously just really intrigued by the sales. But there was just something about it for me. It was the quality that I just wasn't able to like source really good quality for this product, and that's one of the major issues. It wasn't in an or you can choose products that are in an evergreen niche, but maybe sell some micro trend within the evergreen market. Whatever it may be, I just now like to just look at something where maybe it doesn't end up being a brand that I, scale and work with for the next few years. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe I fail, but that's just a failure. That's a business failure. But at the end of the day, I do wake up and I do work around the intention of working on possibilities that could definitely scale and be more long term.
Definitely. I guess just to piggyback off that, I guess right now when you're looking at products, does everything you're looking at have to be evergreen, or do you ever see something that there's a little bit of wiggle room or it's like a flexible product?
Like I'm in the middle because I do believe that depend again, it very depend, but like I do believe there is a bit of wiggle room that you can work with. It doesn't necessarily have to be in an evergreen, like a super evergreen market. I obviously know that those are like, pretty hard to get in. They're pretty competitive. So especially like I've gotten the advice of like if you're low on money, people just say like don't really focus on that. And to a certain point, I do like agree. Like if you are low on money, um, you know, focus more on the short term. But I just again always like to have the viewpoint of have that at the top of your head. At the end of the day, even though you can make X amount of money, I promise you it's not fun when let's say you can make 100K a month, 200K, 300K. It's great and all, but it is a horrible feeling to have $0 come in the next day. It's a horrible feeling. So whether you're getting like the shiny object syndrome, it's great and all, but that's why again I like to just have the intention of doing something that could be long term, and if it fails, then it's like you know what, at least I tried.
Actually,
Gotcha. No, I
I
think
want to
that's a
just
great answer. Oh yeah.
I just want to barge in really quick. I'm so sorry. But like I love what you said there about the horrible feeling of waking up the next day and no sales being there, because I think that's one of the things that actually pushed me over the edge of like I can't do these pump and dumps anymore, because I just hated the feeling of waking up like one day doing 10K in sales and the next day doing zero. I hated that feeling more than I loved doing, that X amount of money in sales.
Yeah.
But that's all I wanted to add on. Sorry, keep going.
No worries, man. So, Julian, I guess focusing now more on the ad strategy side of things, I know you're really focused on direct response marketing and fundamentals in e-commerce. What do you consider good fundamentals?
So um what I would consider is basically like I try to view it very simply. Like a lot of people I find try to overcomplicate it, especially like I've heard the advice of like you have to kind of even dumb yourself down to be successful. And honestly, it is very true. If you really think about it, you are targeting people that are majority of people are not the smartest. Like if you go through like facts or something, I'm pretty sure like especially the States has like a grade 3 level of reading. So it's like you're talking to these people. So when I would read a script or when I would try to create something that just seemed so stupid and it just seemed so simple, I would think it's bad. But it's not necessarily bad. It's actually probably really good. You have to just understand that um there's fundamentals behind what I do. And like I try to just understand, like especially through like breakthrough advertising, um I try to understand like the desires and intention of why people buy the product. I've written notes and implement it on my creatives now, right? And like again, one of my goals is to reread my script and be like, this is stupid. This is like it's like a grade 3 could read it, but I think that's the goal. And to not overcomplicate, I used to overcomplicate. I used to add this, I used to add that, but it was unnecessary. That's not what people care about. That's not what people want. I really started viewing it as people buy for one reason only. So only one reason. There's not another reason why. So you have to kind of just, I guess, not, you have to pick and choose which that one reason is, and then maybe add just a few little elements to just reinforce that one reason why they buy.
No, that's perfect, man. I guess my last question here kind of goes about your Discord. I know you've said that you wanted to make this Discord to connect with like-minded people. I'm curious, what traits are you looking for in individuals to network with, and what recommendations would you have for anybody new to ecom in general and joining perhaps our Discord or even yours?
Yeah. So I I view people not through their results. Like, someone can join a Discord and make, millions of dollars, and someone can join and haven't even started, right? And yeah, I've had people that joined my Discord that did X amount of numbers. They did really good numbers. I just didn't like who they were. So I don't want you. It doesn't matter about like, really what you've done, what your results are. I care more about the traits and just even like a personal relationship. I've gone out and meet people in ecom in Bali. They've done X, or they claim to make X amount of numbers, but they're just, stuck up. They're arrogant. They're rude. That doesn't matter. I don't care. I could be in one position and you can be in a way better position than me. And if I don't like who you are and your traits, I'm just not gonna I'm not gonna stick around just because you made X amount of money, right? So even for the Discord, I try to take people that are, again, just very genuine, very authentic. That's like one of my main traits I like. I try to, represent that. I try to make that as like, be as transparent as possible. And that's what I want from my community as well. I want people to be transparent. I want people to lie or to gatekeep, as like they say, or really just, again, I view my community as like a group of friends. Like I've never viewed it as like I'm the head guy and everyone listens to me. Like, no, I always view it as like we're a team, we're a group of friends. Some people are here, some people are there, but we can all feed off each other. And I think that's where a lot of people can grow. A lot of people need that in this space because, people are missing that. I've joined communities where it's not like that. I know majority of the names in my community, even though we're a decent sized community. I know majority of people, but I've joined other communities where no one knows each other. No one talks. No one knows anything about each other personally. Probably the head guy doesn't even know me barely, right? So it's like I generally like the authenticity side, and that's where I really look at with people is like, are you really being authentic? And if you're serious about what we do, like you're not, again, here for, the short term, just quick money because our goals don't align.
Bro, I think that's so true. I think like as much as the screenshots and like result claims are, there is some sort of maturity test and like vibe check needed for whoever you're networking with and interacting with. So I appreciate that answer, man. I appreciate your time here. I got Bibs here with the rest of the questions, man. But thank you.
No problem. I just want to add on. There was actually a time. So I have in my Discord, I have kind of like obviously different roles, right? And there's one role that's like represented as, people that were here for longer, for people that I grew, bigger relationships and stronger relationships with people. It was like it's called like Legends role. And there was a time where I had this guy, we were friends for a few months. We were really connecting. I gave him that role and he would be like participate in like these private legend calls. And there was a time where he, came up to me. He's like, "Oh, I made 200 grand this month." And I'm like, "Wow, that's amazing." Like to have someone in my close circle doing these good numbers, because at the time, myself and other legends weren't doing those numbers. So we were all like, "Oh my God, really? That's amazing. That's amazing." We ended up, having him on a call. We, made him go present or talk about it. And, just to cut the story short, it ended up that he was faking his numbers. And again, this goes back on not only the transparency, because, I could have just let it be. Obviously, again, it's good for the representation of the Discord. Like I have someone doing X amount of numbers. I unfortunately had to, make an announcement, say, "Guys, look, I really apologize. It's my fault that I didn't do my background research to make sure it's legit, but it was false, the numbers." And I had to kick him out. We're no longer friends, right? And you see, like, those are things that it's a no-go for me. Like, again, just because of a screenshot, just because of a number, I do not care. I generally don't care. And the fact that I had to get lied to like that, it's even more insulting. So again, my
No, man, because
principles
now
are
it
very
affects
wrong.
your reputation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
that's crazy. That's crazy.
But we live and learn, right? But again, my principles are strong, and no matter the money, I generally don't care. I always just have the mindset of I'm going to be super successful in the future. So these little like I like to call it pocket change. It won't budge me.
Gotcha, man. Well, appreciate you adding that in.
Yeah, so I'm going to start off and ask some questions now, but I just wanted to say thank you so far for everything that you've said. I've really been loving it from start
Thank
to
you.
this middle section now. So I guess the first question I'm going to start off with is that, you spoke about earlier how you've had your online social media presence before you even started ecom. And I know that that can put a lot of pressure on people to, if you're not consistently profitable with every product you're testing, you've got an audience watching you. So my question is, do you think that you do it differently without having the audience watching you? Because I know it's sometimes hard to live up to people's expectations, especially when first starting out in ecom.
I think I pretty much know I would be doing things differently. When people are watching you, it's like, again, I view it as like a sport. When you have to do, let's say, the last shootout attempt, are you gonna be more under pressure when a lot of people are watching you, or when you're just doing it alone? So obviously having this type of pressure um, definitely changes a lot. But again, I don't regret it at all. First of all, the reason why I started, doing online presence was just to meet people and connect with people and to help people, and that's what I've done. I'm here today because of that. I've met Jason because of that. I've met a lot of other people in my Discord because of that, right? And I would not change it for the world. So yeah, I did start before I, found success in ecom, and I don't regret it. And yes, it is harder. I definitely get this thought like, oh shit, I'm not running anything profitable. People care and this and that, whatever. But I do my best to understand that, look, I'm in it for the long run, and hopefully the people that follow me know that. So they I'm trying to attract the people anyways that are in it for the long run as well, and know that it requires sacrifice, to fail a lot at the beginning. And that's why, like, at the end of the day, it may be stressful, but as we spoke before, pressure is good if it's handled properly, if you just keep showing up. And also, it kind of does filter out the people anyways that I want to attract. So it is the best of both worlds. It's not an easy decision that I've made, but still, I see the benefit of it, and I just try to keep viewing the benefit always.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Like pressure really helps you keep that determination at all times, especially when you've got an audience of people who are following along with your journey and watching you from, start to finish on a certain store and just watching you progress. And I know there's a
Yeah.
lot of different people online who are in the online space who may be a bit more misleading. And I understand that, you have a very strong stance on ensuring that everything that you're putting out there is not misleading in any way whatsoever. So I wanted to know, what are some red flags that you've noticed within other people's online presence, whether it's on YouTube or in their communities, and how do you avoid making the same mistakes that they do?
So what I'm not that much on social. I am on social media and I see what other people do, but I do really try to focus on my own things. I'm not really tapped into other people's lives, but I do see a lot of people that, you know, a lot of people flex. A lot of people flex their money and their lifestyle, which I'm not entirely against. You could. I always just try to look at someone and what they say, because like if it's usually giving advice from like some reused Andrew Tate quote, usually not the best information or the best advice, and that's where I'm a bit more skeptical. And these people that kind of give more of the wrong motivation. I think there is good motivation, but I also think there's bad motivation, and it's in a way where you put other people down instead of inspire people. So when people talk about like, oh, I've done this, I've done that in X amount of time, I've done this, it's like you're putting people down because now you're coming at the viewpoint of trying to compare each other, which is not the goal whatsoever. And if you're going to compare each other, I always try to compare each other by saying we're the same. Like we're the same. I'm not special than you, so you can do what I do. It's more of an inspiring, motive or route. And I've seen like people that say do one good month. Let's say they make 70K in 1 month. And then all of a sudden now they're posting content that's every time they're saying, I'm making 70K a month, I'm making 70K a month, and it's like, no, you're not, because even a consistent business is not making exactly 70K a month. It's gonna go 40, it's gonna go 100. So it's like you're not. And then all of a sudden now they're selling, some course, ironically, which then they mass promote through other sales tactic that are disregarded from ecom. It's just a pure info business now. And then they live the life. Now all of a sudden now they're living a good life. And a lot of people view it as they made the money from ecom, which is probably not the case. Probably they had one good month. That store died. And now they just, marketed the shit out of their info product and just use that money to live a better life. And now persuaded people to think it's because they're good at ecom. That's just people I like to just stay away from.
Yeah, it's funny how it works, isn't it? Where they're living this big, lavish lifestyle, claiming that it was from ecom, but it's really from just them selling a course in the first place. And a lot of these people who are selling the courses are struggling to even run a store or run a brand, by themselves. So it's like, you really have to be able to showcase that you can do what you preach. And, when I get deeper into the things like brands, I understand that, you're really into the idea of making a seven-figure brand that you can consistently scale for a long period of time. And I know that you talked about issues before when it came to ad accounts, and I wanted to know if there's any other issues holding you back at the moment when it comes to being able to develop that seven-figure, eight-figure brand in the future.
Yeah, so that's a very, very good question. And, I think a lot of people, when you are not at the level you want to be and you want to go to the next level, you have to have like a very hard talk with yourself. You have to like look at yourself in the mirror and be like, look, I'm not doing, there's something I'm doing wrong that's not making me go to the next level. And honestly, I have those conversations or those moments in my head very consistently. And it's not easy. It's not pleasant at all, but it's something that's necessary. And again, to be fully transparent with you, I've been recently thinking that one thing holding me back, I always believe, is myself. It's nothing else. It's me and my own skills and my own motives. And one big thing I think is laziness. Laziness in the sense of I know what's the best move to make, but unfortunately, being on this in this space for a bit over a year, I've been kind of like programmed in my head to take some shortcuts. And that's where I feel like I'm trying to get out of that mindset, and it's not easy. It's not easy, but because I remember when first getting into this space and joining communities and learning from people, it was a lot about shortcuts. And that's how I started to do econ. And it's because I started like that, it's very hard to get rid of it. But I am doing my best to, not be lazy. I like to say that's laziness. You're taking shortcuts and you're being lazy because of that. Deep down what's the best decision to make, and even though it's extra work, even though it may be an extra headache, it may be worth it. And even if it's not, it doesn't matter. Like I said, we're building the character, not a business. So at the end of the day, for me, it's laziness. There's definitely other reasons why, but I definitely think that taking shortcuts and being lazy is my number one right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's a lot of people that can relate to that too. Like a lot of people have these ambitions and they have these goals that they set for themselves, but when it's really crunch time and they have to put in the work, they really start maneuvering around the path they're supposed to be in to find the easy way out. But sometimes there really is no way to get around it. There's no tricks, there's no games. It's just sometimes you have to go straight through the middle and take everything on the chin and just work your way up to the top.
Yeah.
And I know that when a lot of people focus on, getting to the top and what they're going to do with their money, they focus on maybe, buying expensive cars or houses or flexing. But, from my understanding, it's been showcased in your content that your goal with your money is actually to be able to retire your mum and take care of her. So I wanted to understand, was this always a mindset that you had when it came to earning money and being able to retire your mum, or was this something that you've developed over time?
Oh, no, definitely not. I think obviously a lot of people start for very small goals. And like again, if personally me, not shy about it. I started trying to like improve, whether it's like physical appearance, mindset, health, and even money. started off from a measly breakup, measly like, high school breakup, right? And at first, it's like you get heartbroken. It's your first heartbreak, and you want to get back at the girl. You want to do better, right? You let yourself go, and you want to do better. So it starts off with that. But then as you get on, right, and you go on, your motives start to become bigger. And I think that's almost with everybody. I have all my friends, or I know other people that, like, for an example, they say like they're the biggest health freak I know to mankind. And they're like, yeah, I started because I just watched like a 6 minute video on how to get abs, right? And it all starts small. It doesn't matter how you start, but I think along the way, you just start to build bigger motives and start to build that why, like a bigger why of why you do it. Because at the end of the day, that measly reason of why you started, let's say again, for example, my breakup, it's not going to get you far. Like it'll get you maybe past the few months, even a year maybe. But after that, when things start to become very difficult, when things are very much not going your way, and there's so much adversity you have to go through, and you have to wake up constantly and just keep trying to fix problems, keep trying every day, and it's hard. Everyone's against you, and whatever it may be. Your measly breakup's not gonna get you out of bed. It's a bigger why, and that's why there's a lot of times where again I sit and reflect on why, what's my bigger why, and I, you know, did a lot of thinking, and I constructed to in like physical reality that one of my next main big why would be to retire my mom. And in a sense, so the way that would happen was, again, my dad has like a mortgage on the house, right? And he's not entirely free because of that. But if that mortgage on the house is paid, my mom, even I even spoke to her about it, would then stop working or work way less because the mortgage is paid, and now all the money that my dad makes is just strictly, to himself. Which I like had that conversation with them, and I never told them like, okay, got it, it's done. It's just in my head, I'm like, all right, I know what to do. And that's just something that, like, again, it's an intrinsic desire that I just, built on. It didn't come off the bat, but now, like, again, as time passed on, it's just like it consumes my mind constantly. And again, main reason why I wake up.
I think that's my favorite answer so far from this entire call, to be honest with you. But I really like how you touched on that, you had your breakup, that was your motivation, you had something to prove. But as you started going through all these problems and dealing with all these issues in the business, you started to understand, man, like, what do I need to prove to anyone else? I don't need to prove anything to anyone else. I don't need to showcase my lifestyle to anyone. The only thing that matters to me is that I can make this money and make this fortune to be able to take care of my mum, help my dad pay off the mortgage, and help my family in any way whatsoever. So, like, what am I even getting out of bed for? To prove something to no one? No, I prove it to myself, and I help out my family in the ways that I can. And I think that's really important. That's like some of the best advice that anyone could preach within the ecom space, because you don't see a lot of it. And that's actually very reflective of other people that you see online who aren't in the ecom space, like Alex Hormozian. I know that you're very influenced by him and the content he makes. And my final question for you is, what do you think he preaches that a lot of different ecom YouTubers aren't, that they should be taking a look at?
Yeah. So I've gotten advice from one of my last mentors, and this was like a guy, a random guy that reached out to me because of my YouTube channel. So again, just another reason why I'm very grateful I did this. But there's this guy that actually lived in my area who, is not a retired ecom person, but like he's like over 30. He's done ecom for over a decade. He's made millions and millions of dollars. He's exited for millions and millions of dollars. And I was just very grateful to like have to be under his wing for a while. And one advice that really stuck with me was like, again, such a duh moment. And that's why one advice I always try to tell myself is genuinely just don't overthink it, because there's so many things that we just overlook. And one advice was that he's like, you are so into this drop shipping. Right? You're into this drop shipping, and you want to learn drop shipping, right? So you're gonna go search up and you're gonna learn from kids or other people that are doing drop shipping. But he's like, you're running a business. Why don't you learn from people who run a business? Like, why are you learning? Like, why are you searching up dropshipping? And why are you going to some like 18-year-old or some 24-year-old, right? That's just done dropshipping. Like, why don't you learn business because that's what you're doing. So that's where I was like, holy fuck, like that's so stupid, but like, it's so true, right? Like all my whole at the time, my whole feed is just drop shippers, and it's like I'm learning from people that don't don't do actual business, or they do, but sorry, they just haven't gone in the broader term of business, and that's where I really start to hone in on Alex Hormozy. I've always followed Hormozy for years, but after that advice, I just like looked at like, okay, who do I really like, and Hormozy was one of them. And what Hormozy does, besides, again, Hormozy is very good for mindset, advice as well. Like he's really helped me a lot with decisions like that. Like I think he's actually one of the main reasons why I took the leap of faith to just drop out of school. Was I no joke watching one of his videos and then I just made a decision right after. But I really like how he teaches sales, and he teaches sales in the sense of, yes, his experience is through like gyms or like physical business, but a lot of these sales tactics could generally just be applied to ecom. And he said it before, but it's not direct. So a lot of people might get these like advice on sales, but because it's not in terms of e-commerce, people will just avoid it. But it's up to you to get these, business tips or these sales tips and implement it into your e-commerce store. Even same thing that goes with books, right? Like books are not going to directly tell you like, yes, put this Shopify setting or do this ad strategy. Like it won't tell you directly e-com terms, but it's going to tell you fundamentals, whether it's advertising or whether it's back end, whatever it may be, and you have to now implement it yourself in what you are currently doing.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Like when I see all these people who are saying, I'm looking for all this information online and I'm looking for someone to help educate me, they're only looking in the e-com space. They're not looking at business in general because a lot of these people forget that drop shipping is a form of business. So if you want to understand how to run a business better, you don't have to just look at dropshipping businesses. You can look at any other business in the world and take inspiration from what someone else may be doing. So that's why it's very important, like you said, to be listening to people like Alex Hormozy or anyone else who runs a business. It doesn't even have to be online. It could be a business that's in real life because you never know what you may learn. So I think that's very important that you touched on that. And that's the end of my questions now. So I'm going to pass it over to Jason to finish it off.
Yeah,
So thank
I
you.
just want to add. So, um, a lot. I'm pretty sure if you guys follow Hermosa, you know how like he's big on value, and like the value equation that I've read on his books. And that's one thing that he's taught me that has correlated to almost any business model or venture that I've took in is just the giving value. He's obviously he's been telling people like just give. And that's something that I truly preach both in ecom, both in my YouTube, both in life. Like just give value because I'm a strong believer in just giving, and whatever you give, you will receive. And especially if you're going to talk directly about ecom, dropshipping and a lot of scammers because of dropshipping has been out for like years. So people are getting warmed up to this, and that's why like it's not like how it was back then where people would just buy on the internet like that. So you have to now give more and work more for that purchase. And again, just that simple advice that he gives applies to what we do. And that's why like it's just truly I guess a tip or an advice that he's given that I've applied to every business model I've done, and it works. It works. It's just I just believe that's how life works.
Yeah, you are right, 100%. And I think because especially you started off as someone who didn't have, someone coaching them from the very beginning in what to do. You had to figure out your own way. So you probably had to join different communities or find different people that you can learn from. And through doing that, you've now gathered up your own information and now you have your own community where you have now the ability to give and give and give to everyone who needs.
Mhm.
And in return, yes, you get things given back to you, but at the end of the day, I don't think that's the point. I think it's the point that you're out there really helping people and really changing people's lives. And in exchange, good things will happen to you, but you shouldn't be doing it for the purpose of I'm doing this so that I can get something in return.
Yeah.
So I think that's really
So
good that you touched on that.
I'm very happy that you brought that up, honestly. I always like to tell people like like take it with a grain of salt, but I always like to view it as like when you give change to a homeless man, right? Or when you give a gift to a loved one. Do you feel good because you expect something in return? Because usually you don't. Usually, especially like a homeless man, you give change. You're not telling him like, "Oh, give me your shirt, or give me your, whatever you have." Like, no, you give it and that's it. Even with a gift, even especially if it's not on Christmas or a birthday, you just give a gift to someone. You're not doing it because you expect something in return, and that's where the true fulfillment and joy that you feel comes from. It's through the giving part. And that's where I based basically my whole life is just trying to give because that is what makes me and majority of people fulfilled. It's like just again built in our genetics that we feel good giving. And it's like a self dopamine rush that we create on ourselves because we give. And if you want to say it's selfish because you get a dopamine rush, sure, it is technically. We're doing it to still feel good for our selfish reasons. But at the end of the day, we're giving, and that's what makes us feel good. And it's, so again, it can go attached to personal life or business. Giving will always make you feel better. When you sell something that works and people are happy about it and they love it, compared to people are fucking complaining, they don't like it. Which one do you feel better? You can make a million with a product that people don't like, or 100 grand with people that like. I promise you, because people like it, and only you've made 100 grand, you'll still feel better.
Exactly, yeah, because if you're giving someone with the intention of getting something back, it's no longer you giving, that's an exchange. So you're 100% right. If you enjoy the feeling of giving to someone and not expecting anything in return, then then you're someone that I think I should position myself near because it's clear that your intention is to do the best by me, not to take something from me. So I really like that you touched on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that was an amazing question and answer there. I really like that. Thank you so much for sharing those insights, Julian. And I want to have time for maybe a question or two in Q&A. So I'm just going to ask one more question before we switch over to maybe a question or two in the Q&A. I just want to know, and I have this question structured as if you could go back to yourself 2 to 3 years ago, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give yourself? So essentially, what would you tell somebody who's just starting out in ecom, just dipping their toes into the space and trying to figure out where they should go and what they should do?
That's a good one. Um, I think still today, but especially when starting, the major issue that people have with almost with like everything is just basically the uncertainty, like that uncertainty that you don't know if this is going to work. If you knew it was going to work, you would not be stressed about it. Again, I always bring it up as it's a stupid example, but just to help people understand. Um, if I were to tell you that the sky is green, you tell me that I'm crazy and you wouldn't even give me an energy or any thought about it whatsoever because you know for 100% the sky's blue. And that's kind of like the mindset I'm trying to have with like what I do is that I don't even have to give energy to like, am I not gonna make it? Is it not gonna work? Because it's just a simple fact. And I've tried to think it, maybe through like a motivation style. I've also thought about it logically. Like I genuinely believe, logically speaking, if anyone, you can be heck the dumbest person I know. If anyone were to stick to one thing and generally try their best every single day for years on end, I think you'll manage out pretty good. You'll figure it out. Something's gonna happen for sure. It's just honestly impossible. I always try to view it as the every day you wake up is like you're rolling a die, and the die, starts off with one green side and like 20 red sides. And every time you roll a green, that means you made it, you succeed, whatever. And every time you hit a red, you failed. You're gonna keep spinning, and eventually you're gonna keep spinning. Eventually, the green is gonna hit. But the best way I can also explain it is every time you hit a red, the amount of red surfaces on the die reduced to 19, 18, 17. So now it's 1 out of 17, 1 out of 16, 1 out of 14, all the way to 1 out of 2. And your chances increase drastically every time you go through a failure. So looking at that viewpoint, it's just logically impossible if you just keep trying. The probability of you hitting are just going to keep growing and getting better. So if I had to go back and tell myself, and even honestly, I hope that my future self would come back and tell me now, because I think we all struggle with uncertainty, and that's just again almost impossible to avoid. But it's just telling myself like it's going to be okay. Like you're gonna figure it out. It's gonna work. It's gonna be hard for sure, and it's gonna be hard, long, and it's also gonna be you're also gonna work it out and figure it out in ways you didn't plan on it happening. There's so many times where you create plans and goals. You might achieve the goal, but not the way you thought it would be. But yeah, it's just I guess I would tell myself the one biggest problem that I think myself and everyone have is that uncertainty, and just go back and say it's gonna work out. It's almost impossible if you don't just show up every day.
Definitely, man. That was another great answer. I think that's a great one to end my questions off on. If you don't mind, if we could just answer one question from the chat, and then we will wrap this up. So I just want to know, Kumis wants to know, do you ever feel lost, or what's it say? Do you ever feel lost after accomplishing something that you thought would make you feel good?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Actually, I think me and Jason talked about that recently. It's like you set yourself a goal, and because the goal is so like monetary, it's so like just there's no intrinsic value behind it. You set the goal, and then after maybe you set the goal, but you kind of forget about it. You just keep working, 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 and then maybe you even surpass the goal, right? And then once you achieve it, you might realize like I never truly wanted it, or like it wasn't really something that I care about now, right? So there are going to be so many times where you achieve something and it's not, you wouldn't feel the way that you expected. And another example that I can give is I recently just crossed 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. And don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful for that. Like that's been a goal of mine for the longest time. I've been doing YouTube since I was 10 years old. But you see, that's the thing. When I was younger, and I would tell myself like, yeah, you have 10,000 followers, I would freak the hell out. Like I would jump of joy. I would go absolutely bananas. But now that I hit it, I just see it more as like, what did I expect? I'm working towards it every single day. It's slowly growing, slowly growing. Like obviously I expected this. Again, I'm very grateful for it, but it's not like I don't feel the same way as I thought I would if I told myself back then I'd achieve it. So um there's always gonna be times where you accomplish something and you thought it would make you feel so good, but maybe it doesn't. But I don't see that as a bad thing. I just necessarily see it as growth. Like that was a goal back then that you made at when you were X person, but now as time passed on, failures happen, experience happen, you're X person now, and that goal just doesn't resonate with you, or just doesn't impact you as much. But that's just growth.
A great way to look at it. Yes, there's always a positive in that. You know that if you get to that point and you don't find out that you feel the same way you thought you would, then you just know that you've grew into a new and more mature person. And congrats on 10K subscribers, by the way. That's huge, brother.
Thanks.
It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. And yeah, let them know where they can find you. I think a lot of people in here already follow you, but if not, you can certainly shout yourself out, your community, and let them know where they can find you at.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so my name is Julian Tiscione. You can just search up my name on YouTube, or Instagram, whatever it may be. I'm there. I post mostly on YouTube because that's my thing that I love the most. Then yeah, I also have a community that I built just like Jason, where again very similar to this community. So if you love this community, you're gonna love mine. And yeah, just happy to connect with people that you know are likely minded. So I again appreciate you guys having me on. It was genuinely an honor.
Likewise, brother, and we really appreciate you waking up so early over there on the other side of the world to
No
spend some
problem.
time with us. So
No problem.
hopefully you can get back
Get
to
to,
sleep or get your day started.
I get to see a nice sunrise while we have this call. So
Well, I'd love to hear it, bro. Yeah. Well, thanks again
Beautiful.
for coming on. I'll pass it on to Sam and Bibbs if they have any final words.
Yeah, man. Well, once again, thanks so much. I'm surprised you weren't groggy enough to do this this call. So I appreciate that, and have a great time in Bali, man. Lots of sauce today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy the sunrise, and hope you have a good rest of your day. And we really appreciate you coming on here and just shedding some insight in your life and your experiences. So it's been an amazing call, and I think this is one for the books. So I'm looking forward to watching this because Jason screen records it all. So I'm looking forward to watching back and just listening over the source one more time. So thank you.
Thank you guys again.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad we all had a good time. Well, with that being said, that's all for today, and we will see you guys next week. All right, peace out, everybody.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.